guys, how are you? Here we are. So, did you have a very good weekend and good week? I hope so. Today, to be honest, it's getting really cold. It's the first day we went really below zero during the night, so it's getting cold. But aside that, I can tell you that everything is pretty much fine, and I'm very happy that you guys are already there. There is also Abyss, who is one of the members of this channel. So, special guest. Anyway, just before we start, I would like to remind you to put your like to the video so that you will support with your like this channel. And if you are new, you can always subscribe to this channel, of course. Last week we talked about how we can become a virtual car modeler, so working on alias, on different type of softwares, and we started talking about what type of school you do, what type of path you have to go through in order to get your bachelor, to get your diploma, and then get hired in a car design studio as a virtual modeler. Today we are going to talk about clay modeling, because one thing you must know, even if we have the virtual modeling, which is extremely important in our design process, what is still very, very important in order to get an excellent design on our projects is the clay modeling, so the clay modeler. And a lot of people, when they are in school, they realize that they like very much to work on clay. I myself made several clay models when I was at Art Center as a student, and to be honest, I also worked on some clay models, full clay models, while I was working, really a real job. Because it's an opportunity, when you know how to work on clay, it's an opportunity to discuss with your clay modeler, see things together, try to experiment together, and even guide eventually your clay modeler, because you know how it works, because you did it. So if you are in school and you are having the experience of clay modeling, please don't think that this is just something in which you are not interested. It's something that is extremely important. Also because clay modeling, compared to virtual alias modeling, it gives you the opportunity to touch your model. So it means that you can feel your surfaces, the surfaces that you design on your sketches. So that's why it's extremely important, because it really teaches you how to solve 3D problems, what we call the nodes, and also how different is a type of section, a type of surface between what you sketch and what you really get. So you pass your hand, you touch it, and you understand right away. It gives you also that sensibility, that not many students have, especially those students that come from design schools where they do not have clay model shop. For example, in Italy we have IAAD, does not have clay model, but IED does have clay model shop. So students have a full, in my opinion, a full experience in modeling, because they do virtual modeling, but they also work on clay modeling. Now, I know that clay modeling stinks, because the material that we use, the clay, which it's made in Germany, in America, in other countries, in China also, it's made of a little bit with some zolf, so it's a very strong odor. Ciao Imran, does a junior clay modeler earn the same rate as a junior exterior designer? No, but in my opinion, Imran, we don't have to talk about money, not right now. Ciao, Patriot, welcome back, welcome back. I think that what is important, especially at the beginning of every career, it's not really the money, but the experience you make. Because the better you get, the better opportunity to work, you know, in the right companies you get. So, because then you make a portfolio, like a designer, you make a portfolio, clay model portfolio. So, now we are 3 people, but in reality there have been already 12 people connected, which is not that bad. Anyway, today I would like to explain to you the steps of clay modeling. This time I will make little sketches, okay? I have here on my desk. I soon will change camera so that you will check, and I will explain to you in a didactic way so that it's much easier for those that do not know, you know, do not know clay modeling. But one thing is for sure is that if you want to be into the design process, in the real creative part of design process, then the great thing is to be a clay modeler, because you work on the surface. One thing is being virtual behind the screen, you know, it's a little bit cold, you know. I mean, you are not touching anything, you're just watching things. But if you are making a real clay model, whether it's a scale model or a big full-scale model, the experience is completely different. It's much more emotional. Myself, I love to work on clay. I remember when I was an intern in the United States, I did my, you know, my design work for a competition in this company. And then a part of my staff was chosen, so they would make a full-scale model in clay. And when I saw for the first time, full-scale, I mean, I never seen this as a student, and that was my stuff. I asked the clay modeler if I could work myself with the tools. And he was very happy. He said, yeah, why not? I'll be watching you. If you do mistakes, don't worry, I will help you out. And I worked for about an hour on that side fender. I was so happy, so satisfied, because for the first time in my life, to me it was like, you know, when a baby comes out, you know, in a way. So that was really particular. A different type of emotion compared to when I'm watching behind the screen my model done with the alias. Mr. Parth, only high-end car brands utilize full clay modeling, I guess. No, not true. In Renault, where I work, we use clay for every project. Small, medium, high-end. There are also, it all depends, it's a cultural thing, you know. For example, in Italy, I know it's 50-50, because the old coach builders, they never really used clay. They used a lot more plaster. And that's another technique, which is a very good technique, but it is different. In America, in Germany, in France, and I guess also in Sweden, we use more clay. Can a clay model dedicate his design over the exterior designer over aerodynamics? Dictate. It's not that the clay model will dictate. How can I say? The design is always responsibility of the lead designer, but the clay modeler will work with the lead designer and the aerodynamic engineer, and all 3 together will apply solution in the wind tunnel on a clay model to see if there is an improvement into the aerodynamic coefficient value that the project should get. Your video is not smooth. I think a network issue today. It's lagging. Yeah, I know. It is a little bit lagging. I can see. I know. I'm sorry. I'll try not to move too much. But it's like that. Tejas, sir, the stream is lagging. I know. There is nothing I can do. I'm sorry. But anyway, let me see. I'm watching myself live on my telephone, and I can see that there is lagging, but I cannot do anything. I'm sorry. All right. Well, it's not that bad, actually. It's not that bad. Hey, Abby, sir, what do you think about ISM Surf? It's better than Alias, and should I learn it? The audio is good. That's good. Abyss, ISM Surf, it's really for engineers. Alias, it's for designers, not for engineers. But Alias model can be transformed in its language to be read by ISM Surf. So I would say why ISM Surf is a little bit like Katia, you know, very lasting, very long, very complicated, very scientific, you know. Alias much faster, much. Alias is a little bit like clay modeling in virtual, you know, just like Blender. All right, so you know what we're gonna do now? I will change camera and I will show you the steps for clay modeling. We will dive in together first on how it's taught in school, on scale models, and then we will talk about full scale models, okay? Because the technique is a little bit different. All right, so I prepare, as you can see, my top camera. I change and I click on my top camera, there you go. And here we are. Okay, so you can see I am an automotive engineer and want to know all the ins and outs of car design and manufacturing. Well, if you're an automotive engineer, you should already know a lot about that, Abyss. If a fresh industrial design graduate chose a clay modeler path, will he get to be a design director in 10 years? No, design director, no. If you are clay, if you're doing clay, your career will, for sure, will be clay modeling. Because director, it's also another thing. We will talk about this. We will talk about this. You know what? Next week I will talk to you about design director. Because it's not just like being a designer. Design director is also about politics, about how your brain works, you know. It's very different than just somebody that likes to get the hands dirty, you know. Okay, so I will show you now. When we are in school, you know, we are taught to use tables, modeling tables that have a grid to realize and take measurements in the perfect way. And I am sure that Abyss knows what I'm talking about. Oh, okay, so maybe this cam is better. Yeah, you're right. Maybe it's the other cam is not good. Cool. Yeah, those markers are really useful. You know, are not the best ones, but when I'm missing a marker, I go and searching all bunch of these markers that I have. So basically we have a table, okay. I make a quick sketch, and this table has, you know, a nice big leg to be very steady, okay, strong on the ground, and on top this table is made of a plastic hard material, and then you have a grid. It's designed on top of the table surface. You see? Now the grid can be inches or millimeters, the way you want. Oh, wait. Okay, so you see, now we have a grid. And what we're gonna do, we're gonna use this grid and this table that is perfectly, you know, horizontal to the ground to build on top our model. So now you will be asking, yeah, but what's the next step? So this is the first step. You need something like that. Then of course you need clay. And when you have the clay that comes from an oven, okay, there is an oven that goes until 70 degrees, I think, or 35 or 70 degrees, you know. Then you open the oven, and inside you have the clay log that becomes soft. So you pick up one, and then with your finger you put on top of your structure. But how is this structure? So now I will show you the structure. Okay, so let's change color and let's see what we do. In general, we use, this is wood, okay? So this is wood, and you fix it, you know, it's like a box. Then inside you will put some soft white foam, okay, polystyrene, and you put blocks of polystyrene, okay, and then you put one like this, then you put another one like that, and you glue all this together. Okay, one in the back, there. Then we have the wheels in this area. So we cut in wood two big shapes on each side that will make the wheel arch area of our future car model. Yeah, my hands are, I play guitar, but they are not very young. I'm 62. I wish I were young. So we put something that is made of wood, like this. You see? And how we make those things? Because now it's another important information. This is the center. And on the other side, you know, we have also the same thing. And this is on top of our table. With the grid. So what is important here is that the center of the wheel, you know, it's in the right place. But now I'm sure you're asking yourself, yeah, Luciano, but how do I know that that's the right place? It's very simple. I show you. You must have a technical drawing. You know, the classical 4 views drawing. Side view, okay, top view, those are the wheels, and then you have your top view, right? Then you have the front view, and the back view. So of course, if you make a model, you must have this. Now, when you do alias, it comes out automatically because alias makes also this drawing, you know, before you make the model. So the base for clay is wood. the base for the clay, this is called, all this, you know, all this part, it's called the back, which equals the structure. It's the structure of your, you know, it is the structure of your model. Then, to make sure that here we can make our model, look what happens. I take, what are the benefits of being a clay model when there are so many opinion feedbacks on the masterpiece, from junior designer to design director? Now, the clay modeler is a profession. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It is a profession. So you have to take it as a profession. You know, we said this is the oven. So this is the table. Now, what do I do when I start? I take this one, the top view, okay? The top view drawing. I cut with the scissor in 1/4 scale or 1/5 scale, okay? And then I glue the drawing here. And I know immediately where are my wheels. You see? So I glue this on a cardboard. So this has 5 millimeters thickness. Okay? It's glued there. In general, we do with this with double tape. Then I put my wood wheel arch parts that I made before. You see? So now I have this reference on my table, and here too. So exactly, Parth. Exactly, you got the point. So now that I have all this, what do? I had to put my clay, you know, my clay log that is in my oven. But how do I put it there? Then I construct my back. You see? Now you understand. So from here to here, I can put a piece of wood, you know, the way I want. There is no a specific recipe. In general, this is all wood. You see? And then on top, according to my center section, you see, my wood is like this. Then on top I can put my white soft foam that I glue, smaller of course, because then I had to put the clay so that I can create I have the space to create my surface. I have the space to sculpt my clay. So let's go back to our table. You see all this space? I will never put so many centimeters of clay because it would become very heavy and it would crack because of the weight. So what I will do, I will go here and I will do a shape like this in white foam, and I glue that piece onto the wood. I can put a screw, whatever you want. Then on the side, I also will put a little part because this is too deep. I do the same thing here on the other side. And then I do a little bit in the back too. You see? Then I do on top a piece like this. And a piece like that. But it's smaller. So now I have my back. And how do I do? The question is, how do I do my section so that I know what the hell I have to do with the clay? Because I'm still, in the middle of nowhere. I put clay, but how much? How big has to become with clay? Or how thin has to be the clay on top of the surface of this back? It's very simple. I take the center line section and I take a side section. And look how I do them. I use a red. I take my cardboard. Then I cut my design from the technical drawing. You see? This is also 5 millimeters of thickness. And I put it there. So I have my reference here. Center line. Center line. So that's the first reference. You see the space between where this is cut. I cut, okay? So now I know that here I have all this space. Maybe I will put another little part here because it's too big. Then I put clay and I do the same thing on the side. So I have this part now. And I have my reference, my X reference on the side. In general, we make also another one on the X0, which is the center of the wheel. And after that, I did those two sections. What do? I take my clay. That is like butter, it's warm. I take with my finger, I take the clay and I start putting it. And I check with my sections that I am a little bit outside the section, a little bit bigger. Then I can do later on another section, and I will do the section here. You see? I do this section. So when I have the two sections here, and I put the clay and I put the section onto the clay, I will have the sign of the real section of my car. And by magic, I can start seeing the three-dimensional part of my model. I take off those sections and then I use the tools to start modeling, looking at my sketches and looking at the real section in the real scale. So that's how you can get, a volume that is very, very close to your sketches and that is driven by the sections that come from your technical drawing, which is precise. Do you understand? Do you have any question? Imran. Sir, do we calculate the ratio or we do it freehand? Okay, with cardboard 2 minutes. No, sometimes we do this freehand, Tejas. When you have the sections, you will see the gap between the structure and the section. If it's more than 1 centimeter, it's too much. Therefore, you can put some extra soft foam glued inside. If it's not, then you can just go straight with clay. Now, about the 3D printer. The 3D printer can make a full-scale model. That's no problem. Not a full-scale, sorry. A scale model. The problem is very fragile. It breaks. It's so fragile that we don't make them. We use 3D printing only to make small parts. For example, front grille, door handles, wheel rims. Those stuff, it's done with 3D printing. Nowadays, rough or semi-finished clay from is made with milling machine. The final touches are manual. Yes, yes, exactly, Parth. And also Tejas. So slowly you shape, you know, because it's always a little bit back and forth. Because this step of clay modeling, when it's in small scale, when you do in school, or when you do it also at work, because we do still make a scale model, especially at the beginning, you know, of a project, it's a creative moment. It's really part of the creative process, because there are a lot of things you will see you will not like. And even if your sketch looks cool, in reality you will say, well, probably I should do differently. And that's the moment where you can experiment a different shape, a different form, a different way, you know, that the surface will meet or will create nice reflections and stuff. So this is the step we learn when we are in school. All right. Yes, interior are made of clay modeling too, of course, especially at the beginning of a project, in full scale. And they are made also, there is also a back structure made of wood, full scale, with a seat and stuff. Everything is made of wood, and then in some area you put soft foam, and then you make you apply clay. But we do milling. That's at work. So at work we do milling. But at work there are two ways. When you are a very young designer, just came out of school, we will ask you to do it the way you learned in school, which means by hand. Instead, if you are a designer that has already a little bit of experience, you have your own virtual alias model, and you have to make a scale clay model, we will mill out that model in scale. And after, you can go and work with your clay modeler, and you can work on it, you know, you can start the process of the creative process in 3D modeling. But when we pick up one, when we choose one, and we decide what type of modifications, then we go back on the alias model, we mill in full scale, and then the full scale, it's done with the milling machine. Milling machine is very big. It's something like this, you know, very big. It's a big room, okay, with a machine here, okay, that has a point, that is mobile in every type of axis. You have your big chunk of, you know, clay in full scale there with the wheels. And here too there is a grid, okay, on the ground, so that it's correctly positioned according to the center section. Then they close the door. Those are glass door, so you can see what's going on. And the milling starts moving on the axis and takes, you know, reads the real shape of your alias model and reproduces, taking away the excessive clay that is onto the back, onto the structure, and automatically you get perfect shape. Then when you get this out, you have to clean up, because there will be on the surface lots of little lines, because it's you know, the point that is the one that gives the shape, okay, that turns, okay, very fast and goes onto the clay, this one will leave little lines. Even if you put the very small one, the thinnest one we have. Now, about the timing, yes, we can mill a full-scale model in clay basically in less than 20 hours. Then, if we need a high finish, which means with a point that is very, very, very thin, you have to add extra hours. But I can tell you that wait a second, there was a telephone, the telephone was sounding now. It's too late, I cannot answer the telephone right now. All right, so if you have to do some really high finish, then of course it's gonna take more time. How do they make the car exterior look real? Do they apply like sheets to mimic the exterior? No, what do they do? Once the clay is finished, okay, so wait a moment, I take another piece of paper, I explain. You know, now let's imagine that we have, you know, our model that is milled, okay? We have the glass, you know, so some parts are made in 3D printing, okay? 3D printing. Lots of details, the wheels, the front lights, the grille, some details of bumpers eventually. I don't know. If there are little things, those are made in 3D printing and they are treated apart, you know. There will be a modeler that will make that, then we'll sand, clean up the surface, and then spray paint using the classical spray paint process. Here, when it's a clay model, first we put in the spray booth, like the big one, and we apply a sort of a primer paint, and all over, okay? And this primer is gray color. Now, why do we put that primer? Because that primer is made with a sort of a chemical elements inside that will stick to the clay, because the clay is like oil. So you have to apply something that will really glue, you know, to the clay, unless everything will come off, and you don't want to have that. So the primer is the first thing. Then they will sandpaper the surface. If you have a line here, you know, like a section that is like that, they will reproduce sanding that section. They will put the tape, they will really try to do their best to have exactly the model you milled out. And once with primer we have that, then they will start masking, and we follow the classical spray paint process, which means I put the black color for the glass, the real color that we want onto the body, and then at the end you put together all the other parts, and then you put the transparent paint, the varnish, and that's how you get a clay model painted that looks like a real car. There are a lot of people, for example, when we make presentation, they touch, because they think that it's made of a hard material, and we have to tell them, no, don't touch, please, because you're gonna, you know, it's gonna boom underneath, because it's even if it's harder now, it's still, you know, hey Adel, ciao. You know, it's still dangerous to push with the finger on the model, because you would get, you know, you would get something like this if you put your fingers, you know, like that. So some people that don't know, they sometimes they make that mistake, and we had to be very careful during the presentation. Okay, so just in case you did not do it yet, please put your like to the video. Thank you. If you are new, you can always subscribe. And just in case you want to become a member, which means to support this channel with a small contribution, you can always become a member of this channel. All right, so let's move on. So this is, you know, the process. So this is the way we do in school, and this is the way we do it in a professional car design studio, real project and stuff like that. All right. Okay, so I go back to my front cam. I think that the front cam is a little bit like is lagging. It's the front cam that is lagging. All right, so first of all, did you understand what I tried to explain? I hope so. Okay, and if you, now we have to talk about what does it really mean, the career in clay modeling, because a lot of people think that a clay modeler, it's somebody that will be doing that the rest of his life. It's not exactly true, because a clay modeler, okay, starts as a clay modeler, but there are several typology of clay modelers. You know, you have the ones that work in a car company, in a big car company, so they are they have a contract just like other employee of that company. You can be a clay modeler in a small company that does modeling services for other companies. I give you an example. I am Fiat, and I have to make a model, and I don't have enough clay modelers because I don't want to pay many clay modelers. Okay, so what do? I call my supplier of clay modeling surfaces, and this supplier will come with this team and will say, okay, how many people do you need? Say, well, at least 3 people. They will come for a period of 3-4 months in the Fiat design studio with their tools. They will bring their tools. Fiat will give the model that has been milled out, the team, the designers, the engineers, all, I mean, everything. And they will work with them for 3-4 months. So they will go into several car design studios because they are, you know, it's an external company. So that's another type of career that you can make. In my opinion, more interesting because you have more clients and you discover more things. You can be in Jaguar, you can be in Fiat, you can be Renault, you can be in Alpine, you can go to America. I know a guy that is an expert clay modeler, and he became a clay modeler manager of a company, a small company. This guy has been 6 months in China, he has been in Japan, you know, at Honda, I guess, or Toyota. Then now he's in Europe, and then there are people that call him, you know, because then the more you do, the more people know you, if you are good, and they are willing to pay you. Sir, does a transportation designer have to conquer skills of clay modeling? Yes, Tejas. For me, yes, I did. All my generation did. Lots of design schools have clay model shop. It's not a case. It's extremely important that students learn clay modeling. It's not mandatory to become the best clay modeler, but it's important to understand the process, what I just explained, and to have the experience to do it. because the most important thing for a designer is to understand the shapes, to understand the forms. And the best way to understand forms and shapes is when you can touch something that you model by yourself. Because when I do a section and I use my scraping, piece of metal, and I feel how the section is generating that shape, I know if it's too much, it's too timid, it's too shy, I have to do more, I have to do less. I know what to do to modify. So that knowledge, that know-how of modeling by yourself, it's an incredible thing that every car designer, in my opinion, should have. Will virtual reality or augmented reality affect clay modeling like gravity sketch and stuff? No. My answer is no, for a very simple reason. We already use virtual reality, okay? We put, how do you call the 3D visual device on your head, that you see everything. You have the two elements on your hands to touch and to feel, whatever you want. But the fact of touching a clay model and modeling yourself, it will ensure you the artistic quality that no virtual device until today can give you. And that's the reason why we always work with clay, before we copy that clay model for the final time and create the final virtual model. Because the final virtual model, it's a copy of the last clay model, which it's a crossing between milling and handwork. Because the handwork is there not to change things, is to bring the smoothness and the artistic quality, to make sure that all reflections, all lines, all surfaces, everything we see, it's really well done. Because when you mill out of what you have done for a month in virtual, there are still mistakes. And there are things you can see only in real life. That's why we mill out in full scale. Now, the question is also, but today, how many times do you mill clay models, full scale? In the past, we used to do many times. Today, we do a lot less, because we are getting very used to the virtual technology. But at the same time, we always must develop and mill out at least twice the clay model, at the beginning and at the end of the design process, creative process, This is something that you guys have to, to understand, because that's the only way, believe me, it's really the only way we can feel that we have in our hands the final model on which then we can negotiate with the engineers, we can negotiate with suppliers, and we can make the tooling to make the real car. Are concept cars clay models, or are they functional like real car? The concept car, in the creative design process, they are made of clay or they are made of other materials, but they are like that. But once that they become the final design, they become running prototypes, which means they are transformed in real model made of sheet metal or fiberglass parts. So there is a tubular structure in aluminum. You have the engine, you have the wheel, you have transmission, and then they design on top of that, they take the skin of the clay model, and they, thanks to alias modeling also, and Katia, of course, they make all the inner part that we don't see, that is the technical part, where they will fix the parts together, all that stuff, which is more in engineering, I would say, work applied to the exterior skin that has been designed by design department. Same thing for the interior. You know, the same process. Okay. Do you have any other questions? I hope that the argument, the topic, it's that you like the topic today. I just wanted to talk about this because last time we talked about virtual, now we're talking about clay, and I think it's the best way to close, you know, the topics of modeling, because those are, you know, those are the two key elements, you know, in order to give you the idea, the full idea of why modeling is very important and why designers and design students must know a little bit of manual modeling and also virtual modeling. All right. So did you put your like? Would you like to offer me a coffee? You have always the thanks button to offer me a coffee or a beer or a pizza if you want to. Okay? All right. So I guess I told you everything. There are no more questions. And this means, oh no, there is one question. Mr. Parter, do a session about how to get into the industry as a fresher. Okay, next time I will talk about that. Next time we will talk about, you know, there are a lot of things are changing thanks to AI. There is a first selection is done on CV, it's AI is doing it. I don't think it's also for car design because we always need a portfolio and stuff. But there is a little part that is concerning AI in the very, very early selection. So this means that your CV must be AI proof, you know. Mauricio Pedroni, ciao. Mauricio Pedroni, maybe Argentina, I don't know, or Spain. Pedroni is the name of a Italian cigar that I smoke sometimes when I am in Italy. Ciao Mauricio. Do you have any question? Sir, for beginners or the one who's starting or experimenting, is there any alternative for the classic mud-based clay? No, not really. Brazil, all right. Today I had a meeting with my colleagues from Brazil, from Renault Brazil. Okay. And the session of a different brands design languages. Okay, the different design brand languages, we can do it, but I need some time to prepare it because the design language of a company, of a brand, it's very particular, okay? It's upon some design codes that are very, very particular. Yeah, great team. Yes, Maurizio. With Daniel Nozaki. I don't know if you know him, but I'm sure that probably if you look for his name on Google in Brazil, he comes out. You know, he's our design director over there. He's a good friend. Daniel Nozaki. We do few projects together and we have fun. Now he's speaking a little bit Italian and he taught me to say bom dia. Voilà. You see? Obrigado. But I don't know very much. To be honest, I speak a little bit more Spanish than Brazilian because we speak French or English all together when we make our meetings. All right. So, yes, then next time we'll talk about your CV, your portfolio, and we will talk also a little bit how you should, be during your first meeting, job meeting or job interview. Yes, bom dia, yes. Okay, so Mauricio, I don't know if you saw this since the beginning, because it's almost, now it's an hour that we are live, but anyway, you can watch this video again if you're interested about all this modeling stuff. You can always rewind and watch it again, okay? And put your like, of course, put your like. I love your authentic Napolitan pizza and Italian cuisine. Thank you, Parth. That's what I cook at my house. And here we have a good chance in France, because not far from my house there is a very good Italian restaurant that won a lots of prizes about the best pizza in Europe. This guy is from my town, and he opened up a restaurant here. And when I want a real original pizza, I go to eat in his restaurant. Thank you, Mauricio. Yeah, you can subscribe. You can check also the other videos, because I have lots of video tutorials, you know, just in case you are interested in it. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate a lot. Okay. Well, then I see you next week. We will talk about how to get a job or an internship. All right? Ciao. Grazie. Thank you.